Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CL's YT channel for CAT aspirants. Let me just uh, set up the chat for you and then set up the chat with you, and then I shall um, start. Today, we are, of course, CAT is round the corner. So, today would probably be not probably, definitely the last previous year question paper RC before the actual CAT. I've chosen a passage that looked very easy but
RC
tricked
before
a
the
lot of
actual CAT.
students.
I've chosen
This looked very easy. It was easy, but for some reason, many students got two out of the four questions wrong. So make sure you read it well. As usual, I will show you the slide. This was CAT 2022 slot 3. I'll show you each slide for about a minute. All right. And after you see the slide, you and I will summarize it the way I want you to summarize it in the exam. In the exam, you're going to be reading and summarizing simultaneously, right? Not in two steps the way I am doing it. That will take a lot of time. Don't forget to join us today at 6 p.m. to chat about CAT, actually about anything but CAT. So that's just to tell you what you ought to do or ought not to do a day before the actual exam. Relax. What are the things you have to keep ready for the exam? Every little thing from stalwarts of the industry, Gautam Puri, Gautam Bawa, Jijo, and of course, our ever popular uh, maths Ravi. All right, let's start with the passage. I will show you the passage for a minute and read it, and then I'll summarize it. One minute is up. Do you want 30 more seconds? I'll give it to you. All right, next slide. All right, let's go back to the passage. Okay, what does the passage say? We'll quickly summarize it. You should by now have the topic, which is technology in medicine or healthcare. You should also know that the author is talking of the negatives, the positive as well as the negatives, but mostly the negatives. Let's read. As software improves, people using it become less likely to sharpen their know how. Applications that offer a lot of prompts and tips are often to blame. Simpler, less solicitous programs push people harder to think, act, and learn. So, what's the first paragraph saying? That as software improves, we use our brains less. If the applications are simpler, then we think, act, and learn. When the applications are more advanced, we don't think, learn, or push ourselves to think. 10 years ago, information scientists in Netherlands had a group of people carry out complicated analytical and planning tasks using either rudimentary software, very basic software that provided no assistance, or sophisticated software that offered a great deal of aid. So they carried out analytical and planning tasks using two types of software, either the very basic one or the absolutely sophisticated one. The researchers found that people using the simpler software developed better strategies, made fewer mistakes, and developed a deeper aptitude for work. People using the more advanced software would aimlessly click around when confronted with a tricky problem. The supposedly helpful software actually short circuited their thinking and learning. So, the second paragraph is just substantiating what has been said in one, that there was a survey conducted with basic software and very advanced software, and they found that the group of people who were using simple software developed better strategies. The group of people using more advanced software could not work without that advanced technology, and they were clicking around, not even trying to think on their own for a solution to the problem. Good afternoon, Krishna. All right. According to philosopher Herbert Dreyfus, our skills get sharper only through practice. When we use them regularly to overcome different sorts of difficult challenges. So, how do you become more skilled at something? With practice. You use your skills regularly to confront challenges and you hone your skills. The goal of modern software, by contrast, is to ease our way through such challenges. So, when confronted with a challenge, instead of us using our skills and sharpening it as a result of the challenges, we use software to solve it for us, right? Arduous, painstaking work is exactly what programmers are most eager to automate after all. That is where immediate efficiency gains tend to lie. In other words, there's a fundamental tension between the interests of people doing the automation and the interest of people doing the work. People who do the work, their skills get better, but people who do the automation want to replace your hard work with that automation technology. Therefore, there is a fundamental tension between these two people. Next paragraph. Nevertheless, automation scope continues to widen. With the rise of electronic health records, physicians increasingly rely on software templates to guide them through patient exams. So now it's no longer just the doctor doing a patient examination. He uses electronic health records, software templates, and then examines the patient. The program incorporates valuable checklists, alerts. They also make medicine more routinized and formulaic and distant doctors from their patients. So, because of this, the software comes in. It creates a distance between the doctor and the patient. The software is doing everything. It is going through the checklist, is doing all the alert. It's all routine. There's a template, and based on the template, all the records, all the numbers are filled. So the doctor just has to look at it. So the doctor patient interaction is not there. When the doctor becomes screen driven, following a computer's prompt rather than the patient's narrative thread. Earlier, doctors would talk to the patient, examine them. What are you having? What do you do? Now, because of this computer prompt telling you, that narrative thread between the patient and the doctor is gone, and therefore the doctor's thinking can, according to the author, becomes constricted, limited. In worst cases, they may miss important diagnostic signal. So the process of diagnosis has changed. It has become screen driven. And in the process, what happens is the doctor thinking can become narrow, and in a worst case scenario, they may miss important diagnostic signals from the patient because of the use of screen driven data. In a recent paper published in the journal Diagnosis, three medical researchers examined the misdiagnosis of Thomas Eric Duncan, the first person to die of Ebola in the US, at the Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, Dallas. They argue that the digital templates used by the hospital's clinicians to record patient information probably helped to induce a kind of tunnel vision. So, in the Thomas Eric Duncan was the first US citizen to die of Ebola in the US, or the first person to die of Ebola in the US. We don't know if his was a case of misdiagnosis. They did not diagnose it as Ebola. And researchers argue that the hospital's doctors use digital templates, and these digital templates and all the readings that they gave helped to induce a narrow vision. The doctors did not even think beyond what could it be. They just their thinking was restricted. These highly constrained tools are optimized for data capture, but at the expense of sacrificing their utility for appropriate triage and diagnosis, leading users to miss the forest for the trees. So when it makes you the data is so specific that doctors misdiagnose because they miss the big picture, okay, missing the forest for the trees. Medical software, they write, is no replacement for basic history taking, examination skills, and critical thinking. You can have medical software, but it cannot replace basic history taking, where you sit and talk to the patient about his mystery, about his history, where the doctor examines the patient and talks to him. What is wrong with you? What did you feel? What that is not happening now. And then based on those two, the doctor used to diagnose. Software, the author says, cannot replace this aspect of medicine. There is an alternative. Okay, what is the alternative? In human centered automation, the talent of people takes precedence. So there is something we can. What is the solution to this? The solution to this is human centered automation. And what is human centered automation? Where human beings take precedence over software, where the talent, diagnosis, instinct, experience of people is given more priority. In this model, software plays an essential role but a secondary role. It takes over routine functions that a human operator has already mastered, issues alert when unexpected situations arise, provides fresh information that expands the operator's perspective and counters the biases that often distort human thinking. Technology becomes the expert's partner, not replacement. Yes, you can take over routine functions. Software can do the routine functions. Then, so it will help the doctor come to a diagnosis. It will not replace the expert. You can't use software instead of the expert. The expert can use software as an aid to help him diagnose and treat the patient. Clear, nice passage. Let's look at the first question. From the passage, we can infer that the author is apprehensive, worried about the use of sophisticated automation for all of the following reasons, except I will give you a minute to answer this question. What do you think is the right answer? It stops users from exercising their minds. It could mislead people. Computers could replace humans, or it stunts the development of its users. Which one has the author not mentioned as a worry or concern about the use of sophisticated automation? Is it A, B, C, or D? Quick. Did the author says it stops them from thinking, critical thinking? Did he say they miss the forest they miss the tree forest for the trees? It could help them have a tunnel vision so they don't really they can miss critical diagnostic clues. It limits, constricts the ability of their user to think. Or did it say that the use of advanced technology would be a case where technology would replace humans? Yes, logic library, you are correct. It is C. This is correct. Doctors, it stops them from critical thinking. Yes, you could miss and come to a wrong diagnosis. This has been mentioned. It restricts, constricts the development of the user. You don't think anymore. You let the software do your thinking. This has been mentioned. Computers replacing humans has not been mentioned by the author. All of you got it right. Excellent. Question 2. In the Ebola misdiagnosis case, we can infer that the doctors probably missed the forest for the trees because what is the reason that the Ebola misdiagnosis happened based on what's given in the passage? They were led by the data processed by digital templates. Do you want me to take you back to the passage? Let me know. The digital templates forced them to acquire tunnel vision. They used the wrong type of digital templates for the case, or the data collected was not sufficient for appropriate triage. What was? They missed the forest for the trees because of what? In the case of the Ebola misdiagnosis, what happened? Let's go back to the passage, to the part where the author mentions the Ebola misdiagnosis. Okay, he says that the from here this paragraph that the digital templates used by the clinicians to record the patient information probably induced a kind of tunnel vision, very restricted way of looking at things. These highly constrained tools are optimized for data capture, but at the expense of sacrificing their utility for appropriate diagnosis, leading users to miss the forest for the trees. You're missing the big picture. Medical software is no replacement for basic history taking, examination skills, and critical thinking. Got it? Okay, so which answer is correct? Okay, now whenever you look at an answer, we can infer whatever is correct, right? Inference is something that is definitely true based on what is given in the passage. They were led by the data processed by digital templates. They used digital templates instead of looking at the bigger picture, and because they used digital templates, they were probably, not that the templates forced them, they probably developed a tunnel vision, very narrow in diagnosis. Nothing about using the wrong type, not sufficient. The digital templates did not force them to acquire. The author says they probably became very narrow in their diagnosis because of that, and they missed the forest for the trees. Got it? That means we can infer that they use digital templates, they use the data processed by the digital templates. And which is why the author says, look, history taking, examination, diagnosis can never be replaced by software. That's the last sentence. So, for the correct answer is A, not B. Got it? Okay. In the context of the passage, all of the following can be considered examples of human centered. The author, remember, has Recommended human centered automation. What is human centered automation? Where the human being takes precedence and software is only an aid. Software only helps. Software is a partner, not a replacement. Correct? So the human being is most. So all of the following are human centered, except, so look at which one is not human centered. Which one is a case where the human being does not take priority? Which option? Human centered, one that is driven by the human being, one where it is the human being who's using the automation as an aid rather than the other way around. So you have to apply that to the situation and see in which one is the human being not the primary player. Logic library, two options are not allowed. Give me one. Decide. Decide between the two and tell me which one sounds better. So this is a decision you have to take in the exam, right? This is not the two options most of you easily eliminate. Then you're caught between two. So think of the one where it is the role played by the human being is more crucial or important, and in one where human being has no role, almost no role, or the software is more important. The software that offers interpretations when requested by the human operator. So the interpretations are only based on the human operator's request. So this is a human centered automation. This cannot be our answer. Software that auto completes text when the user writes an email. Okay, the user writes, only then it auto corrects, right? So, but still, auto is there. Medical software that provides optional feedback on the doctor's analysis. But here is the doctor's role important. The doctor's already given feedback. Medical software is a doctor's already offered his analysis. This is providing feedback. The optional part is you can use the software's analysis or not, but the key, it's not driven by the doctor. Is it driven by the doctor? Is it driven by the doctor here? Here instructed by the resident. So A and D are clearly human centered. Between B and C, you are writing an email and it is auto completing based on what you're writing. So here the human element is there. But here in C, the optional part is the remember, I want the software's analysis, then I'll take it. So here the doctor is not getting priority. The doctor's already given his analysis, and I'm saying, no, no, I don't trust this doctor's analysis. I want the software's analysis. The optional part is the option is me, but there is no human. The medical software's analysis is not human driven. The software has done its own analysis. Okay, and so it is then providing feedback on the doctor. So between B and C, which is better? It is C, not B. It is auto correcting. I have written something, but I am driving the word. I have written the first three letters. It's helping me by complete it. If it's not the right one, I will reject it. But so it is driven by the email writer. C, on the other hand, I have given my analysis of the medical situation. I said this person is suffering from this, and you have the option of not trusting me and saying, I don't trust this doctor, I want the software's feedback, is the doctor correct or not? So it's not human centric, right? Humans are using it, but it's not driven, or it's not a part where the doctor is using it as an aid. It's almost like you want a second opinion and the medical software is acting as a second opinion. Therefore it is C, not B. Clear, all of you? All right. The university example in the second paragraph. University did an experiment, right? One group with rudimentary software and another group with sophisticated software. The one with the sophisticated software was aimlessly clicking around. Why were they aimlessly clicking around? This is an inference question. Read the options. If you want, I'll show you the passage again. They were hoping that the software would help to carry out the tasks. They did not have the skill set to address complicated tasks. The other group was carrying out the tasks more efficiently. They wanted to avoid making mistakes. Here, all right? Here, you just read this paragraph and then tell me the answer. Information scientists had a group of people carrying out complex analytical and planning tasks using one group used rudimentary software providing no assistance. The other group had sophisticated software that offered a great deal of assistance. The researchers found that the people using the simple software developed better strategies, made fewer mistakes, and developed a deeper aptitude for the work. People using the more advanced software, meanwhile, would aimlessly click around when confronted with a tricky problem. Here, the supposedly helpful software actually short circuited their thinking and learning. That means the helpful software did not make them think or learn, so they totally relied on that software, which where they were clicking around, seeing that I can't think, I can't learn, so you tell me the answer to this, which is why they were clicking around aimlessly. The answer is there in the line next to it. Right now, look at the option which says the same thing. Why were they aimlessly clicking around? They were hoping that the software would help them carry out the tasks. They did not have the skill set to address complicated tasks. The other group was carrying out the tasks more efficiently. They wanted to avoid making mistakes. Why were they clicking around? Quick, guys. Why were they clicking around? Huh? Quick, now give me the answers. Maybe A. I don't want a maybe answer. Library logic. Give me confidently. They got so used to the technology, the software, the sophisticated software, that their brain stopped functioning. Like earlier, we used to remember numbers, phone numbers. Now, do you remember anyone's number? I don't even know my own number. Everybody's number comes as a name. So our brain has stopped remembering those numbers. It just remembers the name. So you ask me anyone's number, I wouldn't know. You're my own number to think, bite my nails. When you use a sophisticated software, it short circuited their thinking and learning. So they're totally dependent. They were clicking around because they were hoping that the software would help them carry out the task. They were not willing to even think that they can think and solve the problem. Okay, we don't know what skill set they had. They were just given a very sophisticated software to work on. The other group was carrying out the task more efficiently. So what? You think because of the frustration doesn't really give the answer to the question. They wanted to avoid making mistakes is irrelevant. Therefore, the answer is clicking around aimlessly means so dependent on the software, they stopped using their brains and they were waiting for the software to give them the answers. Right? Therefore, the correct answer is option A. All right? All of you clear? Okay. Now, what? Any questions? Any doubts? What are you doing? Any doubts? Any questions for me? If you don't have questions for me, I have a lot of things to tell you. Spend your CAT day with us. Full day coverage from 7:30 a.m. We're going to start. We're going to be working very, very hard. We'll have live coverage. We'll have fastest impressions first. Then we'll have a detailed exam analysis with whoever remembers whatever questions, please send it. So memory based questions, cutoffs, and then finally in the evening we'll have a combined analysis of all the slots, difficulty level and cutoff by the experts of the industry. They will tell you uh, based on how many attempts you've made, how many you think you've got correct, a rough, uh, they can give you a rough score and percentile based on your feedback, of course. So log in, stay locked to our channel the moment your CAT exam is done. Okay. Now, if you are slot one, obviously after slot one, stay locked to our channels. If you are slot two, open your phone, see the rough analysis of what slot one was like, but do not watch the entire analysis and freak out while you're waiting to get into the exam hall. It does no good. All right, just don't do that. Okay, and same thing for slot three. Look at what kind of exams, but how many doable questions are there in VA out of 8? You should do all the questions which don't have minus marking, right? I would say definitely 3 or 4. Definitely 3 or 4. Odd one out turns out to be easier. And it also depends on your strength. I mean, I find para completion questions I found very easy. Odd one out para jumbles I find very easy. Theta para jumbles for me are always a nemesis. There's no minus marking. I would just mark whatever. So for me, a definite thing is as many summary questions, odd one out. Out of 8, 3 or 4 definitely doable every year. That's meant to be that. So depends on your strategy, and please follow the strategy you have followed till now, right? That I know Aditya talked yesterday about it, Jijo has talked about it. Everyone tells you stick to what has worked for you. You know about yourself best, right? I find para summary easy. Yes, please do it. Odd one out, generally one should be easy in being out of theme for odd one out. If you have para summary easy, please finish those without any panic. You and they're definitely they, so in the sample we saw there were no para completion questions, but summary is has always been a part of CAT. So if you're good at para summary, that means you're on the right track. You can get main point questions in RC correct. So do both the para summaries, do the sentence placement questions.